Hello and welcome to another one of D's ADD videos. Today we're going to look at the concept of empirical versus molecular formulas. Well, an empirical formula is a formula that gives you the basic ratio of the elements in its simplest form. Meaning we've taken the molecular formula, which is a multiple of the empirical formula, and divided out all the subscripts to get the empirical formula. Okay? So again, the simplest ratio, all the subscripts divided out their common numerical term, whereas molecular formula is a multiple of the empirical formula. Molecular formula, as the name implies, gives you the composition of just one molecule. The empirical formula just gives you the ratio of the elements. So again, the empirical formula times some whole numbers give you the possible molecular formulas. How do we find these things? Well, the way you find them is as follows. Step one is you must find all the moles of the elements found in the compound. So the way you do that is you take the grams of the element, should be given in one form or the other, whether it's percent composition or just flat out grams. It might be nice enough and just give you moles right away, but I doubt that. But then you divide by the molar mass on the periodic table, which is also grams of the element units, and it will cancel, leaving you moles of the element. And then you divide by the smallest number, the smallest answer to step one. When you do so, the answers will be the subscripts of your empirical formula. You already found it. Now, be careful. All of your answers after you divide by the smallest number of moles must be within plus or minus 0.2 or plus or minus 0.1, depending on your class, within the range of a whole number. Okay? If you're not within that range, what you have to do is you must multiply by whole numbers until you reach that range. For instance, if I had 2.3, that's clearly outside either 0.1 or 0.2 range. I would need to multiply that by 2, would give me 4.6. That wouldn't work. But if I did it times 3, I would get 6.9, which that is within plus or minus 0.1 of 7. So whatever I was dealing with there would have a subscript of 7, and then the other elements would also get multiplied by 3. So for instance, let's say I had carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen, and when I did the division, hydrogen had the lowest number of moles and gave me 1. This was 2.3, and this was 4. So because I multiplied the 2.3 times 3, I would need to multiply that hydrogen times 3 and the carbon times 3 as well. Okay? So that's a little trick. I will do an example video just exclusively showing this point here. So don't worry too much if you don't understand it now. It'll make more sense when you see it in action. Then to find the molecular formula, you need to calculate the molar mass of the empirical formula, then take the ratio of the molecular formula to that of the empirical formula. When you divide those two, you end up with this over here, which will give you some whole number answer. And what you will do is you'll take that whole number times your empirical formula, which is right here. This is just some random example. And you'd multiply each of those subscripts by that 3 that you found and get your molecular formula. Okay? So again, calculate the mass of empirical, divide your molecular formula, which should be given, the mass of the molecular formula should be given. Divide that by the mass of the empirical formula you calculated in step 1, and then multiply each subscript by that whole number. All right, so I hope I've clarified Any doubts that you might have on empirical versus molecular formula, you should be able to find both. So check out the example videos. More importantly, practice, practice, practice. Thank you and have a nice day.